Ankle sprains suck, whether it happened during a game, a workout, or just stepping off the curb wrong. You're probably swollen, in pain, and wondering what to do next. I'm Nate, a sports massage therapist, and today I'm going to walk you through what to do after a sprained ankle step by step, from long-term care to short care to help you walk through this journey together and avoid ankle instability. Let's get to it. When you roll your ankle, especially outwards, you're stretching and tearing the ligaments through the outside of that joint. There are different grades to an ankle sprain. Grade 1 is mild stretching, some soreness. Grade 2, partial tear, swelling, and pain. Grade 3, full tear of the ligament with not being able to bear weight on that ankle. Either way of any of those tears or sprained ankles of those grades, the process of recovery is still the same. In the first 2 to 3 days, here's what I would recommend to do. You're going to first simply rest it, so no more bearing weight on it. Second, you're going to ice it about 7 to 12 minutes, placing an ice in some bag, wrapping it up in a towel, and placing it on that particular area. Then you're going to compress it, so you can do a light elastic band around it, or a little bit of some compression like a sleeve band around that ankle to be able to compress it, and then you're going to elevate it as well. So basically the RICE method, which is the rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Simply with the ice, you're going to want to leave that on there once again the 7 to 12 minutes, because direct ice direct to the contact of the skin can tighten up that area pretty fast. So you want to keep that nice and loose by just doing it in short intervals. Simply, you don't want to also go back to putting some bearing weight on it for the first 2 to 3 days, because it is pretty swollen. So you want to be able to just let that swelling come down and relax. Now that the swelling has gone down by either day 3 or even all the way up to day 7, now you can start introducing some gentle mobility. Here's what I would recommend. Alphabet with toes, so making the alphabet with your toes. You're gonna do some ankle circles as well. The towel stretch, so doing dorsiflexion and plantar flexion with your ankles. So I call them ankle pumps. And then weight bearing, which is basically trying to balance on that ankle and then switch side to side. Do that for a few minutes, at least 2 to 3 times a day. If it starts to feel the pain, scale it back quite a bit and then introduce it slowly to increase your reps and time. Now we're going to focus on re-strengthening the ankle. And you don't want to do this pretty fast. You want to be able to retrain the ligaments, the fascia, the joints, so then you can avoid re-injury. And here's how you're going to do that. You're going to do calf raises or calf stretches, roughly 2 to 3 times a week. These are going to be almost like physical therapy exercises. And then you're going to do some lunges with that ankle. You can then try to go back into squatting to get into that flexion of the ankle as well. But don't try to do too much really fast. You want to be able to, once again, to avoid that injury. So I would increase the strengthening slowly to rebuild back those tendons and ligaments. Hopefully this video has helped you with trying to get back into the game and to avoid re-injury of that ankle if you're currently dealing with an ankle sprain right now. Try to be consistent and stay consistent when doing these type of recommendations. And as always, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and comment below just to see how this has helped you or have any questions around this. I'm Nate. I'll see you guys in the next video.